Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Sunny Banchuri, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions, by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such industry titan on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Nanda Sambrani. She boasts a wealth of experienced executive acumen, spanning an illustrious career of 38 years, marked by multifaceted expertise across sectors, notably general insurance, banking, and education. She has risen through the ranks, achieving the strategic position of Chief Risk Officer, followed by Chief Claims Officer at two large private sector general insurance companies in India, namely Reliance General Insurance and Universal Sompo General Insurance. In her latest role at Universal Sompo GIC, which is a joint venture between Indian banks and Sompo Japan, she has led a team of over 280 employees through a period of transformation. Her leadership has been instrumental in restructuring the team, implementing customer-centric initiatives, and streamlining processes. Under her guidance, the company has experienced a significant reduction in customer complaints, improved its brand image, and achieved cost efficiencies through the elimination of wasteful steps. She has led her team in identifying and recovering large sums from manipulated claims using analytics to detect and address irregularities. Additionally, she has spearheaded several technology transformation projects. Welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, Ms. Nanda.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone.
So to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Thank you, Sunny and World Development Council. First, disclaimer, what all opinions I express here are my own. Secondly, all the contributions or where I have reached is a total contribution of my company, my team members, my peers, and my colleagues, I would say. So I don't claim any specific achievement for myself. However, all that you have said has really helped me in my journey, and as I look back, it seems wonderful. So in terms of my career that you're asking, I would like to bring in the journey of general insurance. I landed into general insurance in 1990. And this was somewhere in between. There was a nationalization in 1972-73, and there was a sector opening to private players in 2000. So I landed into this industry somewhere in between, 18 years post-nationalization and maybe 10 years prior to the opening to private players. So my career sort of intertwined with them, so I could see what were the positives and negatives in the public sector, and what was needed, why this privatization or rather opening to private players was needed. The nationalization had a very lofty ideal to bring it the irregularities, but somewhere down the line, it so happened that the professionalism was lost, the empathy with the customer was lost. So there was a very casual attitude and the penetration was low. So that made the government of India appoint the Malhotra Committee, which gave the recommendations, the three main recommendations. Actually, this has also influenced my career. The three main recommendations I would remember is opening the sector to private players, allowing overseas insurance to come in with a limit on the investment, and third is the formation of a regulatory body. All the three have changed the face of the general insurance industry. The common man for whom insurance was something very unknown, Now, because of the transparency involved, the common man understands, and he is uh, in totality or in actuality the king. The customer is actually the king because he or she can make a proper choice. He or she has the transparency, understands what is due to him. So this have brought a sea change. When I started in the public sector, I told you there were some negatives. There was a lot of, I'm a very high energy person. So I always want that to do something new all the time, which opportunity I did not get in public sector. And secondly, I have too much of empathy for the customer. I could not see a customer waiting, which, as you would know, or maybe your parents would know, that customer was made to wait, and you did not get a clear picture. So when the private sector opened up, this was a fantastic opportunity for me to really work hard and make sure to be a part of a system which cared for the customer, which managed waste. It was not only the customer who suffered, it was the company also, because a lot of company resources were getting wasted. So for me, it was a fantastic opportunity to ensure the best, to be a part of a system where not only the customer, the employees, the company, this other stakeholders, namely the intermediaries. That was a beautiful transition. So from 2000 onwards, when Indian private sector welcomed being a part of the general insurance, I moved to, after 13 years in public sector. Public sector did have its positives. There was a lot of depth in understanding. So I moved to the private sector, and in the private sector, it was starting from scratch. Actually, early days. So it's like building a new home. So very few people, everyone doing everything. So that was like a lovely experience. And then we grew very professionally. The entire private sector, private players, big companies, some with foreign partners, some on their own. So we started knowing the follies, the drawbacks, the weaknesses of the existing private public sector, and that really helped the companies. So I was a part of that whole journey. I started with something you would know as underwriting, then worked with the claims, and gradually, as my career progressed, I moved on to risk. So it has been a fantastic journey, several milestones, and in this last 15, 20 years, no one can deny that technology has played a big part in giving the customers its due, and also making sure that the wastage is minimum, everything is tracked, you perform, you see the result. Earlier, it would take probably complete year to know where you are after doing a particular, action or a business. Now it is there on the fingertips. End of the day, So this has been my career journey. I will always intertwine it with the general insurance industry. It has been a really worthwhile journey. Thank you.
Ms. Nanda, thank you for the excellent start to this interview, and I must say your career journey is truly inspiring. So continuing our conversation, as Chief Risk Officer at Reliance General Insurance, you have played a pivotal role in strengthening the enterprise risk management framework. So could you discuss some specific strategies you have implemented to foster a culture of risk consciousness within the organization?
Oh, yes. When it was a chance opportunity for me to move from business to risk. There is the differentiation. So I was a sort of an outsider in risk management because I was deeply understanding the customer's risk, whether he has a factory, whether he has a home, his health. But this is enterprise risk. We are talking about a total reversal. What is the risk faced by my company as against what was the risk faced by the customer, whether it's a corporate customer, whether it's a rural customer or a retail customer like you and me. So this was a total jump. I would say it was a fantastic opportunity for me to move from the business of underwriting and claims into risk management. So I was an outsider. Some would look at it as a disadvantage that you're not a risk person. How would you know? There are a lot of technicalities of being a risk person, which I was not aware of. But as an advantage, I was aware of the business, which was visiting in hardcore risk profession. So though initially it took me a lot of time to understand, my team, my peers supported me in that because apart from the business and its operations and customer related activities, I was not very familiar. So that was a disadvantage. But what happened was I could understand what businesses looked at risk as. So when I was in business, I would look at risk. Okay, risk management, the team does that. But moving into risk, I could see the difficulty the businesses faced in handling the risk management or how they perceive risk management to be. The basic understanding was risk management is done by the risk team. But I realized that it is the businesses who have those risks to handle. So I, being on that side of the team, it was very simple for me to understand the difficulties they face. And based on that, I made it simpler and simpler. You would also have understood three lines of defense. The first line of defense is at the business level itself, not at the risk management level, risk management field level. Risk is actually a top-down approach, risk management. It comes from the management down to the top management, right from the board, top management, middle management, and lower management. But it has to be worked at, it has to be understood at the ground level. So by having simple interactions, maybe FaceTime or Zoom meetings or some interactive sessions, we could make it very clear to the team that risk management is going complex partner. It's not a complex thing. It is not rocket science. It is what we do on a daily basis. Very simple things like, if you have to go on a long journey, you check your fuel. That is risk management. So the people used to think that risk management is very complex. So I try to make it simple for everyone. And then everyone became a part of the risk management journey. So this was one thing I really credit myself, especially because of the disadvantage I had not coming from risk management. Secondly, in those days, maybe 2016, 17, 18, information and cybersecurity was just a budding kind of field. It was heard of. Again, it was thought that it is something, far away from me. Not today is different. Today we know that as we use our phone, our mail, banking, we are at the risk of, any cyber criminal. But those days it was thought someone else is going to manage. So for me also it was understanding the terms, understanding the types of protection against cybersecurity was something difficult. So I simplified it for myself. I demystified. I uncomplicated these things for myself. And parallelly, I knew there were so many like me who did not understand. I had the privilege to come on this side. So I ran a program called Uncomplicating Cybersecurity across the organization. And people realized that it is so simple. It's nothing complex. Only the language, the jargon, puts off people. So I use very simple jargonless language. So people adapted it on the personal level at home, in the office, prevented from data leakage, preventing from, delivering your password, sharing your password, as simple as that. Maybe, 7, 8 years back. So that is one. And the third one that I would be happy to share is in the risk management, we have something like, ISO certification. So though we were doing what was required to be done, we institutionalized the entire framework. So everything gets documented and I am not indispensable. If I'm not there, the system will still run. So we institutionalized the entire framework. And we did get the ISO 31000, which is the risk management recognition. So that added a lot of confidence to the organization, gave confidence to the board. And this we did during the pandemic when it was unthought of. My team member said, now there is a pandemic, we can't do it. But then I said, let us try. So everything remotely, it was all new for us, doing things remotely way back, 7 years back. So these are a few things that I remember and cherish. And I thank all my colleagues for helping me achieve this. Thank you.
That sounds incredible. So building on to that, you have been actively involved in various committees and have received awards for your contribution to enterprise risk management and information security. So could you share some insights into your approach to managing risk effectively in today's dynamic business environment?
Okay. Yeah, nice memory. My company had been doing good work, but I'm getting awards in various business functions, sales, technology. But I think cybersecurity and risk management were relegated to the background. And like I told you, when I go a high energy person, I wanted to do something different and bring some recognition to my organization. So I saw that, people were winning awards everywhere. Award is one is stamp on the good work that you're doing, and it also shows you in the limelight to your competitors, to your customer. So again, any award for a company gives a fillip to the customers. Okay, the company I'm working with, the company I'm depending upon, it has some credibility. So this was the reason that I worked in those segments. What are those differentiators which will get my company to be seen as some company which can be dependent upon in times of you know generally insurance companies, people say when that my time comes, I've been paying premium for 10 years, 15 years, but when my time comes, does my company have credibility enough, funds enough, processes enough to help me? That is it. So risk management award gives a lot of confidence to the customer. So I focused on a couple of awards which says that your data is safe with this company, the practices of this company, the processes of this company are good. You can depend on that. So those are the things, the awards we did. And committees, as you would see, that a lot of committees, risk management is a key management role, as you would know, as the regulators say, like chief, the finance, the risk management, and the technology, etc. Very key functions. Because of that, one is required to be in the committee, talk to the board, give a comfort to the board on how the company is working and how equipped it is to manage the existing risk and how it is foreseeing what risk risk is a very dynamic scenario. You don't know what will happen. If you remember in 2018-19, a lot of new risks came, like, the auditors um, not doing their duties, maybe the pandemic. I can give a very big example, the pandemic. From nowhere it came. So risk is a very dynamic, uncertain thing. So the board needs the comfort that the people who are in charge of this have a very good vision and a strong enough, robust system in place to handle whatever risks might come. And if those that cannot be handled, it can be contained. So this would be my contribution to being on the risk management and strengthening. So by my own study and describing or presenting the various important vulnerabilities of the company and what is the setup we have to handle those. I would say this was a big learning for me while doing it for the company.
Okay. So moving ahead, Ms. Nanda, based on your experience in the service sector, what according to you is non-negotiable or ground rules, which makes a win-win situation for both the customer and the company?
Yeah, this is my favorite area of work. Having worked a lot with customers, I I myself am a customer of various enterprises. Let's take insurance. So what I would want from the company, it's so easy to uh, understand when you put yourself in the place of that customer. So what I would want best value for money. I would want transparency. I would want hassle-free service, and I would want a fast service. Basics, nothing more than that. So this now to give this what is required. This is what the customer wants. Now, what the company should have is like I simplify things for my own understanding. I would say there are a few things which are eternal, which will not change with time, which will go on and on 100 years from now. One is the intent. What is your intent? Is your intent to serve the customer or ditch the customer? I'm speaking a little harsh language, but the intent should be very clear, win-win, the customer first, that one. Second, you should have the integrity in your business figures, no wrong means to do it. These are the values, okay? Values which would not change across hundreds of years. Care for the customer, empathy for, especially in insurance, empathy is extremely important. There are situations where you cannot give the claim. You have to be true to the policy. But the way you treat the person, there have been a lot of situations when I felt for the customer, but I could not do. So we learn ways of telling the customer that it is uh, not because I do not want to pay, I am ruled by a contract. So the empathy is very important, transparency is important, and give the best to your customer. This is the one. And on the other hand, there are some things which have to, and must change. Those are the practices. Way back, you see 38 years. Last 10 years have been amazing in technology. The way you delivered the services have to change, have to be with the times. The main differentiator here is technology. So if there is a company which says, I will continue with the same practices where I will, type letters and send through post or couriers, you are going to get wiped out. So the unchanging is what I have told you, and the changing is adapt, change. So in olden times, there was no way you could detect fraud. But now you have analytics, algorithms to, throw out those 30% of the cases which are 90% chances of fraud. Throw out those customers who are likely to make a fraudulent claim. Throw out those industries which are prone to losses. Throw out the geographies. So this is something which one has to think ahead and adopt, so that again, a fraud makes a loss to the customer because his premium next year increases. And similarly, the company may lose its existence if it has an uncontrolled fraud, it doesn't have an efficient fraud detection system. So in this situation, these are the two non-negotiables. The principles unchanged, never to change. The practices must change. How the internal environment, one has to update internal environment kaise change ho raha hai. What is the external environment changing? What is the competition doing? What are the overseas companies doing? How to adapt? So these are something very, very close to my heart. Thank you.
Rightly said, Ms. Nanda. So moving ahead, given your experience in risk management, compliance, etc., your interest in corporate governance is very obvious. So how and when did you develop an interest in ESG?
Yeah. ESG is a new term that has come in. But basically, like I told you, I have ESG in my heart. Like, I do not like wastage of resources, whether it is mine, whether it is someone else's, whether it belongs to my company. Like, I can give you an example. In public sector, no one cared. The water is flowing, lights are on, the computers are on, paper is getting wasted. Those things really bothered me a lot. So ESG seeds are there in most of us, but it has been formalized of late. And one realizes very simple equation. In insurance company, the money comes from premium, and the money goes out to claims, through your administration expenses, through your the acquisition cost. The difference is your profit. So premium you do as your best, claims you do your best. You can't cut down the claims. The only thing, once you've managed the claims, frauds, etc., effectively, there's a lot of administrative expense that can be saved. So I'm talking about, say, environment, wastage of electricity, telephones. So all these things have been there. And then this is how the private companies generate profit. Now, ESG as a concept, I'll tell you something interesting. I was one of the awards we were applying for. And we did a fantastic job of applying for the award along with all the facts, how the risk management is being done in the company. And we were very, very hopeful, that it was a great job. But when we did a very prestigious award, so one feedback that I got from them, I said, where did we miss? So they said, you have not touched ESG. You have not mentioned anything about ESG. And there we knew that ESG was a very important thing. And in the coming years, it's going to be a game changer. So that is where I developed an interest in ESG, studied it a bit, though I have not done any certification. It is close to my heart. And in the next company that I worked for, I was also chairing the ESG committee, where we did a lot of work beyond the corporate social responsibility. We did a lot of work with my colleagues. We had a committee, and which was done when actually not required, not mandated by the statute, but we did it voluntarily. And it was a great experience doing that. So that is where my awareness of ESG actually started formally.
Okay. So as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
I would call myself not at all, not by a long chance, ESG and governance expert. My heart is set on both of them because it is ethics. Governance is ethics, and governance. If I could tell you a little bit on why ESG started, whenever there's in business, ESG started in business because um, these three aspects, environment, social, and governance, nowhere are directly contributed to finance. It was perceived like that. It's not a financial thing. Okay, business top line, bottom line, employees, cost, all these are the financial aspects of a business. Environment, social, governance did not form. But then, if I'm not wrong, um, there was a committee which was appointed to understand the future impacts of what are those things beyond the financial aspects which will impact the business in the future. And there was a report which says, a report given by that committee on an international level, which says, who cares wins. So this is about caring for the environment, caring for the ethics, caring for being right in terms of governance. So these are the couple of things which are going to matter. Now you will see there are a lot of ESG companies, ESG compliant companies where the investment is going. People are becoming very conscious in investing in those companies which are ESG compliant. Even as a personal investor, if there are companies which are throwing affluents, carelessly, needlessly, and polluting the environment, I would say no. Even if it's making profit, I do not want to do it. This awareness is increasing, and governance, of course, whether it is at home, whether it is in the office, whether it is in your society or in the nation, wrong governance. Maybe it's a very short time gain, but over the long time, it is going to bring chaos. Whether you see a social divide, whether it is a bad management or no care for the environment, or bad governance, which does not care of, for management of accountability of your actions, then the whole thing collapses. You see Enron, you see Satyam. So all these things are signals for us to make ESG governance ethics among other important things as in non-negotiable. Otherwise, people would do only short-term gains, and then tomorrow where is your company? So these are the things I am very, very committed to these things, ethics, values, principles, and ESG in my outlook and in my actions.
Okay. Ms. Nanda, thank you for sharing such amazing insights into different subjects. So this brings us to the last question of the session, and here it is. We are building a community of industry magnates. The move is made for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the team of World Development Corporation?
I am very happy that this again is a foresight, you need industry leaders, you need people to give back to the society, you need people to put to use what they have learned. Otherwise, it just, goes down the drain. For me also, it was a pleasant opportunity that I saw Vishan, Heval Mehta, and World Development Corporation, is it? Okay, so the initiative, the way they are working to bring in or create a platform for the industry leaders, and where companies may be looking for the right guidance from independent directors. So bringing them together is a great move, and I'm extremely, extremely thankful. I would congratulate them on this beautiful and I would say futuristic thought. The team is doing a great job as well. So my best wishes to WDC, Zishan and Heval for having this thought. Thank you, Sunny, you too, for doing this, giving me an opportunity to review my 36 years.
Great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Ms. Nanda, for joining us today. We wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, Trust that this initiative by Directors Institute has unquestionably expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Deepest gratitude to you. Thank you very much. Have a good day, you too.
Bye.